Hi everybody and welcome to the channel. So last week I did a video on a new purchase. It was an unboxing of a SIG Sauer 1911. It was the Nightmare, like you see here. It's the Nightmare, has a fastback, and it's the carry version. So I mentioned I was going to do a little bit more of an in-depth review. So that's what I plan on doing today. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. I plan on getting to a little bit more information on the SIG 1911. This is my first SIG 1911, so I'm learning here as I go. So if I get anything wrong or I miss something, please feel free to put some comments on the video here. I definitely appreciate that. This is my first 1911. I don't have a lot of experience with them, but my plan here is to just do some research and learn a little bit about it. So I really dove in this week, and so I've got some items I want to discuss here today, and just show you guys what I've done so far with this firearm. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump into it. This is the SIG 1911 SIG Sauer Nightmare Fastback. It's called Nightmare because of the nickel and the black color kind of mixed. It looks very similar to the Equinox. You've seen the Equinox in the 1911 before. I think they made about 500 of them in the custom workshop a little over a year ago, or maybe it was roughly about a year ago. So this is not the Equinox version, but it's a Nightmare version, which is similar in that it uses that sort of black and nickel or silver color scheme. But not to be confused with the Equinox. They only made about 500 of those, so there's not that many of those out there. Who knows if they'll ever bring that back, but we'll see. So that's the designation for the Nightmare is that color scheme. Fastback is the bottom of the 1911 grip. So the bottom here, it's curved. It doesn't have that I guess you could. It's a pinch point for a lot of people on their palm, but it does feel a lot better, when you grip the firearm, at the bottom. You don't get that pinch here like you do with other 1911s. And it is the carry version, so it's the 4.2 inch barrel in the carry version. I guess you'd call that Commander versus the government size, which is much larger, or full size, not much larger, but I think it's maybe I think it's closer to 5 inches. So yeah, so that's how that's designated. One thing that I did notice is there are two different types of 1911s. I'm sure most of you know this, but I had found out this week that there's a Series 70 as well as a Series 80. So we're going to get into that a little more as we go through this review. But so we'll talk more about that. So what I wanted to do here today is let you guys know sort of what I've done with this firearm. When I got this firearm last week, it had a 6-pound trigger. Some of the pulls were even a little bit over 6, like 6.1. 6 pounds 1 ounce, or 6 pounds even 3 ounces. So it had a pretty heavy trigger for a 1911. It is a production gun. It's not a Atlas by any means, or even a Staccato, where those are built by gunsmiths, by single gunsmiths individually. This is a production line gun, and for that, SIG did a tremendous job. From what I've seen, the slide is very tight. It doesn't move up or down. The fit is very, very good. It's smooth. It just doesn't have a polished trigger or any manual touches that a gunsmith would do individually. But you're not paying that price for it either. Not saying this firearm was inexpensive. It was north of $1,000, but it's not in the the multiple thousands of dollar range where guns are being put together by hand. So so the 6-pound trigger was something I wanted to try to, see if I could improve on. So I did some research, did some things, and I was able to acquire some parts. I purchased the EGW Light and Hammer kit that is in this firearm already. So this video will not be a before and after of that accessory, but I will show you what is in there versus what the firearm came with. I unfortunately can't show you the trigger pull, the original trigger pull, because I've done all this work already, and I'm not going to put the original parts back in. So you'll have to just trust me that this is a 6-pound trigger, or if you own one, go ahead and give it a shot. if you have a trigger pull gauge, give it a shot and see if yours are close to that or right around that. And what I will do is at the end of the video, we'll take a look and see what the trigger pull is now, and I'll let you know kind of everything I've done. So in addition to the EGW light and hammer kit, I did some honing and some sanding on some of the parts and polishing on some of the parts in the firearm that really represents the difference in a production firearm versus a firearm that's put together by a gunsmith, you know, the upper level one. So if you take a production gun, you really can do some things to the trigger really without modifying it at all. For instance, the trigger bow. Filing down the trigger bow with 1500 grit sandpaper and then 2000 grit sandpaper does a tremendous amount of improvement to the trigger. It really polishes it up. Not a mirror finish, but certainly better than the way you find it. Taking a small stone and deburring any of the burrs that might be in the trigger channel on the frame, not taking material away. None of this is taking material away. It's simply polishing the surfaces of the components that rub together as part of the trigger pull process. In the Series 80 mechanisms, the plunger and the slide and the plunger itself and the opening in the slide, polishing those so they move very, very smoothly. You know, those are things you can do to help improve the trigger pull. Anything that moves, that rubs and moves while you depress the trigger, polishing that is going to help. And then, of course, using the light and hammered kit is going to get you, it's going to get you a match grade hammer to sear fit, as matched as it can be, and it's going to get you the spring, the sear spring that you could adjust. So the sear spring you see in the kit in the package right now is the original. I am leaving that completely stock. So the original sear, the original hammer, disconnector, and sear spring are all original from the firearm. I'm not touching them. I'm leaving that there so I can always put those back into the firearm. I think that's prudent. It makes a lot of sense. You should do that. I don't want to do anything to, you know, to modify the firearm. Absolutely not. Just, you know, putting in little bit more performance parts, which essentially are the same thing. It's just a better part, right? So and with the sear and the hammer match is pretty critical. I'll get into it later. You can't really get those perfect because it's going to depend on the geometry of the cut and the frame. But you know, if those are not perfect, then the match hammer and sear can't be perfect either, right? So there are some limits. And I did not use this spring because this spring is for a larger. It's for a government mainspring. That mainspring is too large. So this is the original mainspring. So anyway, I'm not going to show any disassembly, anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and get the firearm to the next step, and then we'll be back. All right. Okay, so now we have the 1911 completely broken down and disassembled. All right, so just wanted to get into, you know, a couple of things that we did from the stock version that we purchased at the gun store. So again, we have the EGW light hammer kit, so that was put in here. So those parts have been moved over to the disassembly mat, with the exception of the mainspring. That's too long of a spring. That's not for the carry version. So I got to figure that out. I might go down to a 19 hammer, keep the spring, or keep the 23-pound spring in there. So that has not been disassembled here. It still has the original spring in. So we have the sear spring from EGW. We have the hammer from EGW with the OEM strut. And then we have the sear from EGW. And these are match fit from EGW. There's the half cock. There. Okay, and then we have the disconnector. Disconnector from EGW. All right, and if you notice on the disconnector here, it's been polished. So use some 1000 grit, 1500 grit, and 2000 grit, and a ceramic stone. Got that polished. Not necessarily a mirror, but I got it down pretty good. and did the backside as well. So both contact points have been they have been polished, sanded down and polished up. Okay, we also here on the slide. So I remember we talked about this slide, this gun being a Series 80 firearm. So the way you could tell that it's a Series 80 firearm is this plunger right here. All right, so this plunger, much like SIG and Glock, use a safety lever to lift the plunger out of the way and allow the striker to engage the primer, strike the primer. This obviously has a firing pin spring, but that pin cannot go forward to engage the primer unless the safety lever is pushed in. So if I do that, okay, we engage the safety lever. Firing pin can go in, and you can see the firing pin is through the breech face. See that? So that's there. Okay? And that's because the safety lever allows the firing pin to strike the primer. When the safety plunger is pushed in, the firing pin is able to break through the breech face and strike the primer. So typical 1911 platforms or 70 series platforms will not have this. So what's the significance of that? Okay, yes, it creates some safety, but I think I'd argue that, you know, you have a grip safety as well as a manual safety. So, you know, it's not likely you're going to have a negligent discharge. So, or that anything's going to happen when the firearm falls or hits the ground. It's drop safe in any condition, but these Series 80s go to that extra mile. But it is significant on the trigger pull because this is another plunger and spring and two levers that have to be moved and manipulated in order to pull the trigger. So all of that adds up to poundage in your trigger pull. So that is significant. So what we did here is we took everything out and we, again, with the 1,000 grit, 1,500 grit, and 2,000 grit paper, we polished up the internals of the slide. We polished the actual plunger itself, okay, and this retainer. We polished the contact points on this retainer. So this safety plunger it takes little to no effort to push in. There's no grit at all. It's smooth. So hopefully that will result in some reduction in trigger pull weight. So that's what we did on the slide. Okay, and if we look here, let me zoom in a little. Okay, so if we look here, okay, we actually have the safety lever. Okay, so that plunger that we saw in the slide would be resting right here. All right, and when you pull the trigger, it's going to engage the bottom safety lever here. Let me do something here. So it's going to engage the bottom, which is going to rotate. Bear with me here. All right, just going to use my hand. Okay, this is going to, the trigger bar, the trigger bow is going to push on this lever, which is going to force this lever up, okay, which is going to force this lever up. And that's the point which hits the plunger and allows the striker to, the firing pin to engage the primer. So that's what these two levers are. So what we did is we did some polishing. We did some polishing here. Okay. Did some polishing here. You can see it's pretty shiny right there. All right. And there's the contact points. Okay. So then we polished it here. And then here. Where it engages the, right there. Yep. Okay, so everything should be very smooth in this Series 80 system. I mentioned that the disconnector, we did some polishing on the disconnector, right, on both sides. Nice and shiny now. All right, and then we have a new match grade hammer and sear, and the trigger. So the trigger bow has been polished, okay, on both sides, and also the backward engages the spring. Okay, so that's not a mirror finish, but it's a pretty darn good polished finish. So the only thing that I was not able to do is I'm waiting for a it's what is it called? It's called a trigger channel deburring stone, something like that. I don't know if that's exactly what it's called, but it's from Browning, and it'll slide right in the track. A trigger track stone. That's what it is. And this channel that you see where the trigger bow slides in, this is a production gun. So this frame is going to have burrs in it. You're not going to be able to see it really well. You probably could feel it, but it's really hard to get your fingers in there. So my plan is to get that stone whenever it comes in, it's on order, and to be able to stone those down to to get rid of any burrs, which will help with the trigger pull. So again, there's the trigger. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put all this back together, the EGW kit, as well as all of the polishing we did. Oh, one other thing we did, not for trigger pull reduction, but for reliability, is in the barrel, we honed the inside of the barrel, polished it, and polished the ramp here, as well as the ramp on the frame. So where this fit is, right here, right there, all that's been polished. All right, it's not mirror, but it's polished up a lot better than it was when we got it from factory. So all that's done nice, and should be able to load hollow points, critical defense, things other than round nose. So that was done as well. So again, did a bunch of things to try to improve this firearm, give it a little TLC, and honestly a little sort of hands-on manual build elements to it. So all right, I'm going to go ahead and put everything back together. Then when we do, we will we'll take a look at it, and we'll do some trigger pulls to see how we did. Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, guys, now we have the 1911 back. It's back assembled. I did a function check. I'm going to do all that again, and then we can get into kind of looking at the trigger pull weight to see how we did. Okay, so first, drop the mag. The mag is empty. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna rack the slide back, and we have nothing. Breech face clear. Nothing in the mag. Nothing in the chamber. Okay, so the firearm is clear. All right. So we're gonna do a function check here. Okay, so we'll check the magazine. Mag drops. No problem. Okay. Gun locks open. Okay. Safe direction. We're going to pull the trigger. We're good. Okay. Check the reset. Good. Here. All right. Now we're going to check the safeties. Grip safety off. Cannot pull the trigger. Grip safety on. Can pull the trigger. Okay. Safety on. Safety off. Okay. Looks like we're pretty good. Okay. So we have a safe firearm, and it's been completely function checked and back together. All right. So yeah, like I said, just to kind of summarize on what we did. All right, we did a lot of polishing. We took care of the Series 80 levers, those are all polished. The plunger's polished. Where the channel the plunger rides in on the slide has been polished. Again, all the levers associated with that process have been polished. The trigger bow has been polished on all three sides where it interacts with the other pieces of equipment. We have a new EGW hammer, sear, disconnector, and sear spring. The sear spring slightly polished where it contacts everything in there. The only thing that has not been done is the tracks for the trigger on the actual frame. That's a very minor thing, but that's the only thing that hasn't been done. That once that stone comes in, we'll go back and do that, and then should be exactly where we are. So let's get it on the wheeler, and we'll see what we got for the trigger pull. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it a little bit better. All right. Okay, we're locked here. All right, we're reading 0 here, okay? So here, let's get the first pull. Okay, we got 311.6. $312.3. $315.6. $39.8, and we'll just do one more. $32.2. So we've got like 3 pound 12-ounce trigger. So between a 3.5 and 4 pound trigger. Very, very happy with this right now. Yeah, much better. We took over 2 pounds off this trigger, maybe a little more. 2 and 3/4 pounds off this trigger. The reset, really good. The brake it's not squishy. This is very close to as good as, I'm sure, you know, there's people that can get it better, but this is a very, very, very good trigger right now. A lot of things inside of this firearm now have been polished up. They're running really, really well. And you know, honestly, I just got this last week, and I've got about 250 rounds through it. So this gun isn't even started to be broken in yet. So I'm really interested to see how this breaks in and how better the trigger gets. So yeah, that's my video today. Just wanted to go through what I did on this Nightmare, and I'm going to keep shooting it, and I'll have some updates on here as the round count increases. So hope you guys liked the video, and again, you know, please feel free to leave comments. Let me know what you liked. More importantly, let me know, you know, if there's something I'm missing, or, you know, maybe maybe you guys have done more or done some things that I might be able to do to make this better. But you know, like I said, this is my first 1911, and you know, hope you guys you know, enjoyed the video. So yeah, with that said, you know, please subscribe to the channel, you know, hit that notification bell, share the video. It all helps the YouTube algorithm trying to grow the channel. And you know, the more that the more action I can see across my channel, and the more videos that get watched and shared, and the more subscribers I have, the more YouTube will push this content out. So I'm going to keep doing the best I can with it, and get out as much content as I can to you folks. And yeah, if you can help me out, it'd be much appreciated. So everybody have a great day. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll talk soon. Take care, everybody.